What is up, everyone? Welcome to the FAA podcast. Guys, we had games that counted this weekend.
Yes.
Super stoked for college football week 0. Did not make out. Well, it wasn't bad. It wasn't actually bad. I was 1-2 in bets on college week 0, so it wasn't too bad. But yeah, we have college football week 0. We got college football week 1 coming up on Thursday. And then we got preseason week 3 to go through. All of the games that wrapped up the preseason. And yeah, we have our college football playoff and Heisman Trophy picks at the end. And we'll preview some of the college football games on Thursday as well. We're just not going to pick them on this show. So, except for one that will count for our Friday standings because it's played on Thursday and there wasn't any better FCS games on this weekend. So, on Saturday, we had a quadruple header for college football week 0. Georgia Tech, I mean, first game of the year, and we get an upset. It's crazy. In Ireland, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets got the luck of the Irish for sure. 24-21 over number 10 Florida State. And yeah, I mean, I was on the train, the FSU train. I picked them to win the ACC. I mean, they still can. And I picked minus 10.5 as well. I thought that was a decent number for them. And Georgia Tech came out and just ran the ball down FSU's throats. And I mean, FSU just got out muscled, really. Both sides of the line of scrimmage there. It was not a great game for the big men up front for the Seminoles.
Yeah. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say my future sister-in-law was not the happiest camper. Not the way she wanted her boys' season to start.
Yeah. Our guy Fernando as well, Seminoles fan. I texted him about it, and he was not very happy either. But we got to see for the first time transfer quarterback DJ Uyunglele. Up and down. I mean, good completion percentage, 70.4%, but only for 193 yards. So there was not many explosive plays, a lot of checkdowns for the running backs. And yeah, if they are going to win the ACC, like, he's got to play a lot better. And this FSU run game has to be a lot better. I mean, you can see right there, Roydell Williams, the Alabama transfer, leading rusher with 38 yards for Florida State. That's just not going to do it. Although both of their running backs did score touchdowns on the day. Like I said, it was just, the line of scrimmage for Georgia Tech was outstanding. Jamal Haynes was great. I mean, 6.8 yards per carry on 11 totes and 2 scores for him. And then, they have the backup quarterback who's a bigger dude, so they put him a wildcat, and he scored a 1-yard touchdown as well. And yeah, not a lot in the passing game. Like I said, Malik Rutherford for Tech had the lead in receiving, 4 for 66 in this game. And defensively, there really wasn't a ton of stats. So I'm going to go with Georgia Tech defensive lineman Kevin Harris, the second, 2 tackles, both of them solos, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss. Georgia Tech plus 10.5, won outright under 54.5. It is crazy. The dogs were barking week 0. All 4 underdogs either covered or won outright. So, yeah, it was unprecedented, I think, anyways. This one, I knew I should have bet on this game. Montana State, the number 4 team in the FCS poll, they go to Albuquerque and beat John Babington's his New Mexico Lobos now. Since he works there, he's no longer an Aggie. He is no longer a New Mexico State Aggie. He's on the opposite side of the rivalry now.
Yeah, they're 1-0 in the John era. maybe they got to start looking to the future without John. Not a good winning stretch. John,
Well,
you're on the hot seat.
Like I said, he's coming from the other side of that New Mexico State rivalry. You know, he's giving the Lobos the bad juju.
Yeah.
But Montana State, what a game. I wish I would have been able to watch it. I was working, but I mean, this was crazy. So they started down 17-0. And I was like, dude, I knew it. I knew New Mexico. There was no way an FCS team should have been a 2-touchdown favorite on the road at an FBS school. No way. So 17-0 New Mexico started this game. And then, Montana State got a little bit closer. They, I think, made it 17-14. And then New Mexico, once again, pulled away. It was 31-14, I think. Just checking the box score here. Yeah. So 17-14 in the second quarter, and then New Mexico scored right before half, make it 24-14. And then 31-14 early in the third. In the fourth quarter, the Bobcats owned it. 21 unanswered points to win the game with 10 seconds left. And great win for Montana State. And New Mexico, there's a reason why I projected them to go 1-11 this year. So Tommy Mellott, though, did exactly kind of what I thought. I've been scouting some of the smaller school prospects, and I thought he could possibly make switch to running back at the next level because of his body type and how well he runs the ball. But, threw the ball quite a bit in this one because they were down. So decent day, 65.6%, 205, 2 touchdowns. Did score a rushing touchdown on his 9 carries for 30 yards. 2 fumbles, though, kind of concerning for Montana State, but they did win the game, so kind of justified in that. Actually, both of those fumbles, the Lobos took back for scores too, which is really tough for Tommy Mellott. But Devin Dampier, he was pretty much the reason why I was skeptical about New Mexico this year. I had not seen him play at all, and very inexperienced. Okay day. Didn't turn the ball over, passing touchdown, rushing touchdown. So it was pretty good start for Dampier in his first action. How about Montana State, though? They ran the hell out of the football. Adam Jones, 17 carries, 167 yards, a touchdown, 2 catches for 10 yards. Scott Trey Humphrey, 19 carries, 140 yards, and a touchdown. Absolutely. Talk about Georgia Tech running the football. Let's see. Montana State, 362 rushing yards on 47. They averaged 7.7 yards per carry on their 47 rushing attempts. That's ridiculous. Luke Wysong for New Mexico led the game in receiving, 6 catches, 95 yards. He had touchdowns by his teammate, tight end Trace Bruckler, and Montana State wide receiver Ty McCulloch and tight end Ryan Schlepp. Defensively, it's the 2 guys with the fumble return for touchdowns. Those are my players of the game for New Mexico. Even in a loss, corner Noah Avinger, 14 tackles, 9 of them solos, 2 passes defensed, and a 13-yard fumble return touchdown. Safety Christian Ellis, 11 tackles, 5 of those solos, and a 41-yard fumble return for a touchdown. New Mexico did cover plus 13.5. I just knew that was too many. I knew I should have bet on it. And I was pissed also because I knew Montana State was going to come back and win this game. I forgot about the game in the late third, early fourth quarter, and I'm sure I could have got a hefty price on Montana State money line live. But alas, I did not get anything on this game. Total, though, over 54.5, hit 66 in that one. This game was very disappointing, just like the FSU game. SMU got the win, 29-24 over Nevada, but I say disappointing because SMU was 27.5-point favorites. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Kind of like the Montana State game, though. SMU owned the fourth quarter in this one. It was 24-13 Nevada going into the fourth. And 16 unanswered, including an Anthony Booker Jr. safety that got the Mustangs the win. But I'm concerned if I'm SMU. I had them at going 10-2 this year, finishing fifth, I think, in the ACC. And yeah, not a great look going on the road as a 4-touchdown favorite and only winning by 5 to a team that has only won 4 games the last 2 years combined, and a team that I picked to go 1-12 this year in Nevada. So Preston Stone, 56.7%, 254, touchdown, a pick, 35 yards on 5 carries. Kevin Jennings, the other quarterback for SMU, they play both. He was pretty decent, 4 of 5 for 54 yards. Brendan Lewis, though, I was very impressed by Lewis. I was listening to this game, and the Colorado transfer, 53.8%, so not that great. Only 132 yards, but he did throw 2 touchdowns. And rushing, he was really good, 77 yards on 18 carries. So pretty solid there. SMU running back Brashard Smith led the game in rushing outside of Lewis there. The Miami transfer switching from wide receiver to running back this year. 11 carries, 67 yards, touchdown, 2 catches for 26 yards. You had Sean Dollars leading the way for Nevada outside of Lewis. And then Savion Red, the Texas transfer, he scored on the ground for the Wolfpack, as did SMU running back LJ Johnson Jr. But the player of the game was RJ Maryland, the tight end for SMU. He is the reason why the Mustangs came back and won this game. Just crazy good fourth quarter, 8 receptions, 162 yards, a touchdown. Not sure how much of that went in the fourth quarter, but I know it was a lot because they were struggling until he started throwing to Maryland. You had Cortez Braham Jr., the freshman wide receiver, catching a touchdown for the Wolfpack, as did Jace Henry, the tight end. And defensively, I'm going to go with Nevada linebacker Tangiaki Matealona. 8 tackles, 5 solos, 1 tackle for loss, 2 passes defensed. Nevada plus 27.5 covers easily, under 55.5. Close, 53. And Hawaii, the Rainbow Warriors, getting their first win of the season, 35-14 over the Delaware State Hornets. And once again, knew I should have bet this game pregame. There was no way, absolutely no way. I don't care who Hawaii was playing. No way Hawaii should ever be a 40-point favorite. Absolutely not. So knew I should have bet it pregame. I did get it live, though, which is nice. I got Delaware State plus 27.5, which they ended up covering. So I did get something, which was solid. So for the Rainbow Warriors, Braden Shager, not great. 50% completion, 203, 2 touchdowns, 10 carries, 38 yards, and 2 rushing scores. So 4 total touchdowns on the day. Pretty solid, though. Marquis Adams for Delaware State was their quarterback, 60.7%, 156 rushing, 15 carries, 44 yards, and a rushing score. Hawaii running back Landon Sims led the game in rushing, 58 yards on 10 carries and a 2-yard reception. Delaware State Jaden Sutton, running back, he scored on the ground for them. Sophomore wide receiver Pofele Ashlock, he's a guy to watch, man, coming up. in the 2026 draft. This kid's outstanding. I'm intrigued to see if he transfers next year to a bigger school. 5 catches, 81 yards, lead the game in receiving. Touchdown for Hawaii wide receiver DeKel Crowdis and wide receiver Tamatoa Makiao Ati Malala. Love the Hawaiian names. And defensively, I think I am going to go with Hawaii linebacker Jemai Otis. 11 tackles, 8 of them solos, a sack, 2.5 tackles for loss. But just because I know you want me to say his name, please. We also had Hawaii defensive lineman Wyndon Ho'ohuli.
Yes.
With a good performance there as well. And Hawaii wide receiver Tylan Hines, a 44-yard punt return touchdown as well. Not often you see a less than 50-yard punt return for a touchdown. I don't know what happened on that one, but 44 yards. I don't think I've ever seen as short of a punt return as that for a touchdown. So that's pretty crazy. Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, we got some breaking news today, guys. Okay. Delaware State plus 39.5 covers easily, under 53.5. All right, let's get to preseason week 3. So on Friday we had 3 games. The Jags just blasting the Falcons 31-0. No starters for Atlanta. But Trevor Lawrence nonetheless looked outstanding. 8 of 10, 92 yards, 2 touchdowns to Evan Ingram. So, yeah, it's safe to say I think T-Law's good to go for the regular season.
Hey, if he's not, Mac Jones honestly has not looked bad this preseason as well.
Oh, yeah. Mac Jones has been outstanding. 72.2%, 113 and a touchdown in this one for him. Taylor Heineke has not looked great in this preseason, and I think I haven't seen all the Falcons cuts yet, or they haven't made all of them yet, but I would have to think Taylor Heineke is going to be one. And especially if I'm Terry Fontenot, I'm only keeping 2 quarterbacks. I know Kirk is coming back from a major injury, but with how well Penix looked in his only performance of the preseason and how bad Heineke has looked, I would cut Heineke. Take your chance that a team doesn't take him off waivers and then get him back on the practice squad. Yes, 47.1%, 81 yards for Heineke there. Spencer Brown for Atlanta led the game in rushing, 11 for 51. You had Jaguars running back Jalen Jackson with a rushing touchdown. And first-round pick wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr. led the game in receiving on his only target and his only catch. 1 catch for 38 yards. Mentioned the 2 touchdowns for Evan Ingram on his 4 catches, 28 yards. And Elijah Cooks, the wide receiver for Jacksonville, also catching a touchdown, that one from Mac Jones. Defensively, I don't care about the stats, dude. I'm going with Falcons linebacker Donovan Mutin. 18 tackles, 13 of them solos. Crazy good game. Unfortunately, it was not good enough. He did get cut recently in their big cut down. Jags minus 8.5 cover easily, under 35.5. I feel so bad for over bettors in this game because one team scores 31. You're like, bro, I got 35.5 on the over. That's easy money, right?
All it is just 2 field goals left. You think both teams, or at least one team, can twice get at least to a 30-yard line,
right? Yeah. It's great. The Bucks 24-14 win over the Dolphins in their preseason finale, and Baker got to play in this one a little bit. Pretty good. 3 of 3, 54 yards, solid. Kyle Trask also was very good in this game. 70.8%, 141, 2 touchdowns. And we got the answer to the backup quarterback position with the Dolphins. I'll say what it was later. But, Yeah, quarterback Skylar Thompson looked really excellent. 19 to 27, 70.4%, 190, 2 touchdowns, did throw a pick and had a 10-yard scramble as well. Mike White for Miami, not as good, 5-9, just 55.6% on 37 yards. Rookie running back Jalen Wright led the game in rushing, 36 yards on 7 carries, 6 targets in the passing game, 4 catches, 41 yards. Pretty solid there. You had Bucks running back Rashad White getting in the end zone. Bucks wide receiver Cody Thompson led the game in receiving, 7 for 45 on 8 targets. Big workload for him. Dolphins tight end Hayden Rucci. He scored a touchdown, as did his teammate wide receiver Kyrick McGowan. And the Bucks 2 receiving touchdowns came from wide receiver Tanner Canoe. Love my guy from Eastern Michigan, and wide receiver Ryan Miller as well. And Malik Washington, I misspoke when I said Jalen Wright led the game in rushing. Malik Washington actually led the game in rushing on a 40-yard jet sweep. And defensively, there wasn't a ton. I'm going to go with Bucks linebacker Chris Braswell, their second-round pick. 2 tackles, 1 solo, a sack, tackle for loss, QB hit. Bucks minus 3.5 covered. And the friggin' over 37.5 hit by the hook. Guess who had the under and lost
To me.
by the hook? This guy. Couldn't believe it. And how about a tie in the preseason? We love to see it. Love to see the tie. 49ers 24, Raiders 24. And this is a pretty solid game, especially for me, because I had the Raiders +9 or +8.5, which was great. Yeah, so I don't know. So Brock Purdy, 75% in this one, 96 yards, did throw a pick, 14-yard carry. I don't know. It has been iffy, I think, for Brock Purdy this preseason. I know he's not playing with all his people, and that's why I'm iffy on him right now. Because, like, McCaffrey has been banged up. We know, what Kittle has, been nicked up the last couple of years. And they don't have Brandon Ayuk on the field right now. Debo got hurt last year as well. So, I don't know. I'm just saying I am not convinced on Brock Purdy right now when he doesn't have his people out there.
Yeah, I mean, he is a system quarterback. He works well with the guys that Shanahan has given him. He's not going to elevate talent around him. And we're seeing that right now in the preseason. If you're San Fran, you're just telling yourself, like, guys are going to come back. Guys are going to come back healthy. This is all just guys that are going to be third or fourth string guys just trying to find their way. And Brock is just getting his reps. And that's kind of how you're trying to take it. But yes, it's one of those things where you also have that concern where you're thinking, man, if Ayuk doesn't come back, if he holds out, if he pulls a Le'Veon Bell, if Kittle misses games, if Debo misses games, if CMC misses games, if Trent Williams gets hurt, like, how much can we make up that loss? Because it might not come from Purdy. That makeup might have to come from someone else.
Yeah. Well, the Pastronaut has looked pretty good this preseason. 80%, 72 yards to score in this one. Brandon Allen also looked pretty good, 71.4%, 60 yards, and Mordecai there, 50% for 59 yards. However, I want to talk Raiders as well, quarterback-wise. Dude, Nathan Peterman looked like a stud.
Dude, the Peter meme is back and better than ever.
63.2%, 108, a touchdown. He led an excellent 2-minute drive at the end of the first half. And again, I was listening to this game, so I wasn't able to really watch. But it sounded excellent for Nathan Peterman and his performance. Carter Bradley, I have also been impressed by him this preseason. Only 42.9%. I understand. But 169 yards on 9 completions is pretty solid. yards per completion, and he threw a touchdown, did throw a pick. But he's a rookie, so it's not that terrible. Jordan Mason looked really good in this one, and he has looked good all preseason. Even though I think they're still going to go with Mitchell as the backup for CMC, but I think Mason's definitely cemented his status as the RB3 on this team. 42 yards, 8 carries, a touchdown, and a 7-yard reception. You had Patrick Taylor, former Packer there, running in a score. Rookie wide receiver Ramel Keaton for the Raiders. He led the game in receiving, 4 for 76 on 8 targets. How about the night for rookie wide receiver Tyreek McAllister? He had 2 catches for 56 yards, a touchdown on 2 targets, and an 81-yard punt return touchdown. I think this performance might have got him on the team. And I know the Raiders, we talked about the Raiders' depth at wide receiver. It's not great. And it got even worse when Michael Gallup retired earlier in the preseason. So, yeah, I mean, I think there were maybe 2 spots up for grabs at the bottom of the wide receiver depth chart, and I think McAllister should have gotten one of them. We'll see. And rookie Jacob Cowing, he has looked really good this preseason as well. Caught another touchdown in this one on his 6 targets. And defensively, I don't know. It's a tough one. I think I'm going to go with the Raiders, though. Defensive end Charles Snowden, 3 tackles, 2 solos, a sack, tackle for loss, 1 pass defense, and 3 QB hits. But it was close. Him and Darrell Luter Jr. for the Niners there. The Raiders plus 9.5 covered, like I said, over 33.5. Yeah.
My boys.
Vikings rolled. Good Lord.
This makes up for the 2017 NFC Championship game.
Oh my God. Dude, I'm sure you were watching this one, or I guess you had other stuff. Or?
No, I was enjoying my bachelor party at this time. Okay. I didn't get to watch this game. I watched highlights afterwards, but yeah,
dude, it was, oh my God, it was so bad. Yeah, so Jaren Hall looked like freaking Tom Brady in this game.
That's QB2 right there. I mean, it ain't Mullins. It's Darnold, and to me, it's Hall. Hall should be QB2.
Well, I mean, I think sitting Mullins made the decision for O'Connell. I think that made a statement that Mullins is the number 2. But 68% for Hall, 189, 2 scores, and 11 yards on 2 carries. Yeah, I mean, he looked really good. Matt Corral didn't do a lot once again. But I don't know why people said like it was concerning performance for the Eagles quarterbacks. I thought Pickett and McKee looked pretty good. It was just the issue of getting in a scoring position, and they just could not convert.
It was more an issue of just turnovers. It just they would get good. They would have good drives. They would get in good field position, and then it would just be awful pass by McKee, got an interception. Davis Price fumbled, and it was just like a combination of just close but not close enough for the Eagles all day.
Yeah, that was the Davis Price one was, God, that pissed me off so much. I was like, bro, we were moving the ball so well, and then did not go great. But anyways, so McKee, again, I think he's had a really good preseason. Apparently, he kind of opened up the QB2 conversation. But I think with this performance, I think Kenny Pickett did win the QB2 job if there even was an actual competition. McKee, 61.9%, 115, had a pick and a fumble. Pickett, though, efficient once again, 66.7% for 58 yards. And then Will Grier, he had a pretty good preseason as well, 66.7% for 16 yards. Myles Gaskin led the game in rushing. Pretty good performance for him, 61 yards on 13 carries, 2 catches for 6 yards. Mentioned the TDP fumble there, but otherwise a good day and a good preseason for him. Lucky Jackson, my guy, DC defender, legend Lucky Jackson led the game in receiving, 4 for 53 on 6 targets. Touchdowns for Minnesota coming from Houston Roughnecks wide receiver Justin Hall, and maybe the preseason, the player of the preseason for Minnesota, Tristan Jackson, another score for him. Did he score? He scored in all 3 games.
I think he's had 4 touchdowns this preseason. I mean, to me, this guy has made a lot of noise about forcing himself into wide receiver 3 position, and good on him. I can't see an argument against it.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Excellent preseason for him. And defensively, I'm gonna go with Minnesota. Linebacker Andre Carter the second, 6 tackles, 4 solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 3 QB hits. Year 2, undrafted out of Army.
Wesley knows where to find them undrafted boys.
Vikings +3 win outright, under 34.5. Lions 24-17 over the Steelers, and we got another look at the Steelers QB competition in this one. And just like the Eagles QB thing, I thought this cemented Russ as the guy. I think
they did announce him as QB1 earlier today.
I haven't seen that.
I thought I heard something about that.
But only 2 throws, completed both for 26 yards. They ran the ball very well. I know it was against the Lions backups, but, you want to see that good performance when you're the first team against backups. So, and I thought it was. And you know what, dude, I'm excited. I'm excited about Cordell Patterson. His touchdown run was explosive, man. And he was high stepping near the 5-yard line, got those knees up, make sure he didn't get tackled. So I'm very excited about Cordell Patterson and what he can do in this offense. But yeah, again, Russ looked good, I thought. And the O-line held up, which was the biggest thing this preseason for Pittsburgh. Justin Fields, not a lot of work either. Completed 3 of 4 for 32 yards, or for 40 yards, I should say. So yeah, I mean, there wasn't really a lot to go off of on either guy, but I still think Russ looked more composed, and I think he should definitely be the guy going forward. To start the year, anyways, we shall see how it goes. But for Detroit, they had a QB2 battle going on, and I said last week I thought Hendon Hooker probably won it over Nate Sudfeld, and then he came out and did this. He did lead the comeback, which I was very excited about. But it was up and down. 2 turnovers and excellent. He's been great running the ball all preseason. 93 yards on 10 carries was really good, but only 114 passing yards on 12 completions is not great. But I've been excited and about Hendon Hooker and what he's done this preseason. And again, I think financially it just makes sense. I don't know what Nate Sudfeld is making with Detroit, but a rookie deal's got to be less expensive than any veteran contract, more than likely. So that's why I would go with Hendon Hooker. It makes sense financially, and he's shown some flashes of why he should be the QB2 anyways. And he's more athletic than Nate Sudfeld anyways. Detroit running back Jake Funk led the game in rushing outside of Hendon there, 40 yards on 10 carries, and he did catch a 2-yard touchdown as well. I mentioned Cordell Patterson, 3 carries for 31 yards and a touchdown. Jamar Jefferson had 2 scores on the ground for Detroit. LaMichael Pirine had 1 on the ground for Pittsburgh as well. Steelers wide receiver Des Fitzpatrick led the game in receiving, 2 catches, 64 yards on 2 targets. And there was a lot of defensive performances in this one. But, dude, I'm going to go with my guy. I know Julius Welshoff had 1 more QB hit, and he's a rookie. But dude, Nick Herbig is looking good, and I'm super excited for year 2 of Nick Herbig. 3 tackles, all of them solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and a QB hit. He also had a forced fumble on Hendon Hooker as well that the Steelers recovered. The Lions +7 went outright over a 35.5. How about the Panthers picking up their first win of the preseason, 31-26, high-scoring affair over Buffalo. Yeah, dude, I'm excited. Bryce Young finally got on the field, and man, did he look good. 75%, 70 yards, and a touchdown to tight end Jordan Matthews. I know, again, it was against the Bills' backups, but that's what you want to see. You want to see him play well against the backups, and he did. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see Bryce Young and what this offense can do in the regular season. And I've been very happy as well. We've seen a ton of Jack Plummer this preseason for Carolina. I know he's probably not going to make the team because they're probably only going to keep 2 quarterbacks with Young and Andy Dalton. But I've been happy about Jack Plummer this preseason, and watching each game, you really saw the progression, which is what you want to see. And I think he's put on some good tape of that progression, and this one, capped it all off. 72.4%, 278 yards and 2 touchdown passes, no turnovers. Panthers offensive line really helped a lot in this game as well. They actually protected him, unlike the first 2 games. So, I was excited about Jack Plummer. And not really a lot to say about the Bills quarterbacks. Neither of those guys, Anthony Brown Jr. nor Ben DiNucci, are going to be on this team. Brown actually, I know, got cut already. I expect DiNucci to get cut as well. Frank Gore Jr., he was fighting for a roster spot and made a good, last impression. 18 carries, 101 yards, a touchdown, 1 reception for 0 yards as well. I think he's a guy that should be able to make this team. He can play on special teams, and he's going to be somewhere in the league, whether it's Buffalo or somewhere else. All 32 teams are not going to let Frank Gore's son not be on a roster somewhere. So
at the very least, he's going to be sitting on a practice squad by season's beginning.
Right. Yeah. So I still think he should be able to make the squad in Buffalo, though. Off the top of my head, I can't recall what the depth chart is. I know they have James Cook, and I don't know if they still have Damian Harris.
Let's see. James Cook, Ray Davis, Ty Johnson, and Darrington Evans.
Oh, well, Darrington Evans was the guy that Gore was fighting with. It's interesting, do they keep 3 or 4? That's the big question. But I think they're going to keep 4. But yeah, Ray Davis, the rookie, obviously he's going to make the roster. And Ty Johnson has been a pretty solid third down RB3 for a couple teams in his career. So yeah. But yeah, if they keep 4, I think Gore should probably be the guy. Although Darrington Evans did catch a touchdown in this game. Didn't have a lot of work on the ground, but did catch a touchdown. Mike Boone ran one in for the Panthers. And how about tight end Jesper Horsted leading the way in receiving, 2 for 63 on 2 targets. Jalen Coker, love Jalen Coker, undrafted out of Holy Cross. He's a beast. I hope he makes this team. Caught a touchdown on his 3 targets. Harris Marshall also catching a touchdown on 5 targets there. Mentioned Jordan Matthews. And KJ Hamler trying to make the team in Buffalo. He ran a touchdown in. And defensively, I'm going to go with Panthers linebacker Cam Gill, 2 tackles, a solo, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, and a QB hit. Bills +5.5, covered by the hook, over 30.5, easily 57 there. How about the Packers beating up the Ravens 30-7? Dude, I just could not get the Packers right this preseason, man. I was on the wrong side of the last 2 games for them. So, yeah, I had Ravens +3. And the under. But have we figured out the backup situation in Green Bay? I don't think so. And we'll talk about what the Packers did today to quell that.
Might have something to do.
But, yeah, I mean, it just has not gone very well this preseason with second-year quarterback Sean Clifford, rookie Michael Pratt. So, yeah, I don't have much else to say about that. Josh Johnson, on the other hand, he's been very high this preseason, and he's been okay in this one. Week 1, he was very low, so he's been all over the place this preseason. But I think the Ravens are happy with him being the backup this year, and that's what they're going to do moving forward. Nothing has changed that I've heard of yet. So, Devin Leary, though, dude, I put him at the bottom of my rookie dynasty big board for a reason. And here it is. This is the type of performance that, is why Devin Leary not even close to being on the dynasty fantasy radar. 3 turnovers, 2 picks, a fumble in this one is absolutely horrendous. He has not looked good at all in this preseason. And, yeah, he's gone. He's going to be on the practice squad. Packers running back Ellis Merriweather fighting for a roster spot. Pretty good game, 74 yards on 14 carries. Ravens wide receiver Tylan Wallace, he led the game in receiving with his only catch on his only target, a 48-yard touchdown bomb from Josh Johnson. Malik Heath's a guy, him and Bo Melton, I think they're both going to make the roster. Caught touchdowns. Malik Heath has been really good for Green Bay this preseason. And there's a lot of stuff going on defensively, but I got to, of course, go with the defensive touchdown. Packers rookie safety, undrafted out of Iowa State, Anthony Johnson Jr., 4 tackles, 2 solos, 24-yard fumble return for a touchdown. Packers -2.5, covered over 32.5. Texans finishing up 3-1 in the preseason, 17-15 over the Rams, and no starters in this one. Case Keenum played a little bit. I wish he wouldn't have, because I was a little bit higher on Case Keenum before he put in a 50% for 32-yard performance.
Yikes.
Tim Boyle looked pretty solid, though, 67.9%, 142 through 2 touchdowns, including the game winner. And the Rams didn't even put Stetson Bennett out there. They did not want him to get hurt. He has to back up Matthew Stafford for the first 2 games of the season while Jimmy Garoppolo is suspended. So, they brought in Dresser Wynn to play, and subsequently cut him today. So, at least he got on some film, and he's been playing very well in the CFL. So, Cam Akers, how about the resurgence for Cam Akers this preseason? 53 yards on 7 carries, 3 catches for 19 yards. If he doesn't make the Texans, he's going to make some other team, because he's had a really good preseason showing in Houston. Really good day for Zach Evans for LA as well. 45 yards on 14 carries, 2 touchdowns for him. Second-year wide receiver Xavier Hutchinson led the game in receiving, tied for the lead, I should say, with Rams wide receiver Xavier Smith. 34 yards on 4 carries for both of them. 7 targets for Hutchinson, 5 targets for Smith. Touchdown receptions coming from Houston wide receiver Johnny Johnson III and fullback Troy Hairston. That was the game winner for Houston. Defensively, not a ton going on. I'm going to go with Rams corner Cameron McCutcheon, 4 tackles, 3 solos, 2 passes defensed. The Rams +4.5, covered under 33.5 by a little bit. Chargers finally getting a win in the preseason, 26-19, and they finally looked good on offense. I mean, it had been horrendous. And the thing is, it still wasn't even good. Like Easton Stick, bro, 41.4%. I ain't gonna do it. 187 yards, touchdown, a pick, 4 carries for 17 yards. Dude, I mean, Easton Stick has been terrible this preseason, just terrible. And I mean, it's gonna be bad. Like if Herbert goes down again this year, it's a black hole in LA for the Chargers. I mean, they really do not have any option. It's Herbert or bust. Which is one thing even more intriguing about the trade that we'll talk about. Trey Lance. So I know a lot of people are making a big deal about 5 interceptions, and I know 1 or 2 of them were pretty bad. However, I was talking to someone this week about it, and 67.3%. That's decent. 323 yards, really good. It did take him 49 attempts, but I mean, it's still pretty solid. Threw a touchdown. We know he can run the ball. He's been very good running the ball. 90 yards on 11 carries, a touchdown. And like I said to the person I was talking to this week, he's still raw. Like he has not played that many games in the league. He didn't even play that many games in college. So I still think there is an avenue to develop him. And getting as much game time as he did this preseason, I think was very helpful. So, yes, 5 interceptions looks very bad, but I still think there are traits and qualities that we saw during the preseason that, he can work on and build off of. So, but Cooper Rush definitely still the backup in Dallas. Lance will be on the practice squad or third if they keep 3. I don't know. I would keep him on the active. I would not. I would be concerned that someone would steal him off waivers.
Yeah, I think someone would, just because of the former high draft pedigree and the what's the word I'm looking for? The intangibles, I suppose, just the natural tools.
Yeah, and it's not like the Cowboys spent a very low pick on it. Like they spent a 4th round pick. Like that's a decent amount of draft capital into him. So I think that also comes into play. How about wide receiver Darius Davis? He led the game in rushing. He had 1 carry, 70-yard touchdown run. The Chargers were super explosive on offense. Darius Davis had that 70-yard touchdown run on jet sweep. And then Simi Fehoko had a big, long touchdown reception. He led the game in receiving. 2 catches, 85 yards, touchdown on 2 targets there. Deuce Vaughn looked pretty good running the ball for Dallas, 53 yards on 9 carries. And otherwise, how about rookie wide receiver Ryan Flournoy catching a touchdown from Trey Lance? Dude, this was the Tony Jefferson game, though. I mean, good Lord. 10-year veteran is playing in preseason week 3, plays the entire game, was out of football last year, was a Ravens scouting assistant, wanted to come back and play. Obviously, the Harbaugh connection, he got connected with Jim in LA, and he's going to make this team I think, even if he didn't play the first 2 games, I mean, this game should have make the team for him. 14 tackles, 11 solos. He had a sack, 1 tackle for loss, 2 passes defense, 1 QB hit, and 2 picks. Crazy. And he forced a fumble as well. Crazy day. Tremont Morris Brash also had a very excellent day for the LA defense. 3 tackles, 2 solos, a sack, tackle for loss, 2 passes defense, 1 QB hit, and a 25-yard pick 6. That was a very athletic play. I think it was one-handed. He reached up one hand. Yeah, the Chargers plus 4.5 in outright, over 33.5. Someone I know had Cowboys minus 4.5. Yeah, the Snoopy Bowl was very eventful this year. And I had a ticket to this game, couldn't find anyone to go with me, so I didn't go to the game. And thank the Lord I did not go to this game.
I think it worked out.
10-6, the Jets finish up preseason 3-0. No starters or really any backups for the Jets. Main backups, anyways, because Peasley got the start. Didn't look that great. Adrian Martinez was a little bit better, but still not great. Neither of those guys are going to be on the roster. I think it's concerning for the Giants as well. Tommy DeVito did not look very good, and he's the main backup, I believe, this year, right? Just fact check me on the Giants depth chart there, Jimmy.
I can't think of anyone else.
But yeah. Well, you got the capabilities there. 51.9%, 103 yards, 5 carries for 48 yards. The offensive line did not help him either. He got sacked 8 times in this game. So that's rough. But,
yeah, I mean, it's either him or Drew Lock.
Oh, Drew Lock, right.
Forgot about that one.
Drew Lock's the guy. Yeah, he's been hurt. Mm-hmm. Got his I think it was a rib injury preseason week 1 and hasn't played since. But yeah, he's going to be the guy. So Izzy Abanaconda, really nice night for him. He's trying to make the team this year with they drafted 2 running backs, so he's trying to be RB4. And really solid day, 83 yards, 9 carries, touchdown, and a 6-yard reception as well. You had running back Xavier Valade leading the game in receiving. 6 catches, 62 yards on 8 targets for the running back, 14 carries for 28 yards on the ground as well. And yeah, there really wasn't a lot else offensively to talk about. How about we go to defense, because that's where all the fun happened. I'm going to go with Jets defensive end. How about Tack McKinley making a performance, trying to latch on to someone? 4 tackles, 3 solos, 2.5 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and 3 QB hits. I mean, you can pick anyone you want, really.
Yeah, I'll go with CJ Cloyd, 16 tackles. I mean, he's everywhere.
Yeah. KJ Cloyd, 8 solos on those 16 and 2 tackles for loss as well. The Jets plus 3.5 went outright under 31.5. If it wouldn't have been that low of a number, I would have probably taken the under. But dude, 31.5 is tough to take.
Always is.
And then you go from that game to this game, the nightcap. I was listening to this one because I had Browns plus 5, and the Seahawks 37-33 barn burner over the Browns. Yeah, this one was fun. Jameis Winston got the start for Cleveland. Was pretty decent, 66.7%, 63 yards, no turnovers. Had a excellent pregame speech, I'm sure you heard as well.
Dude, who doesn't love CC's Pizza?
Yeah. And DTR. So this was not great for DTR in this one. Only 55%, 115 yards, touchdown. He's got some work. I think the first 2 games were really good for him, and then it wasn't that great in this one. But I think the Browns are still going to keep 3. I don't think there's any way that they would get DTR back if they put him on waivers. So I think they're kind of stuck and have to keep 3. Tyler Huntley, dude. I mean, he's going to make a team, from this performance. I mean, he was awesome. 77.3%, 146 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 carries for 14 yards as well. Showing some of the Ravens, Tyler Huntley. I was really high on Tyler Huntley when he was at the Ravens. Like, he had a couple of those starts a couple years ago, and I was like, dude, this guy. I even stashed him in Dynasty for a hot minute because I was like, dude, he's going to be a beast he's going to be a starter for someone in a year or 2. But alas, here we are. And he's QB4 in Cleveland. The Seahawks got some of their starters some work finally, and how about Geno, dude? Geno looked good, 4 of 5, 62 yards a score to DK Metcalf. Looked really good in the new offense in Seattle there. Probably Sam Howell's worst performance of the preseason, but I think nonetheless he's cemented in as the backup to Geno, and PJ Walker also looks pretty decent for Seattle as well. My guy, go Dogs, Kenny McIntosh led the game in rushing, just 1 carry, but it was a 56-yard touchdown run and a 9-yard reception as well. George Holani also scored on the ground for Seattle. And dude, I'm excited. Cleveland wide receiver, rookie 5th-round pick, Jamari Thrash out of Louisville. He's looked very good this preseason. 4 catches, 73 yards, a touchdown on 6 targets, lead the game in receiving. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be a factor in fantasy this year or not. We'll have to see. But I mean, I know he's only going to be like 4 on the depth chart. They got Elijah Moore, Amari Cooper, and Jerry Jeudy now. So probably going to start as wide receiver 4. But dude, I mean, the way he's played in the preseason, I wouldn't be surprised if Moore would be the guy. I'm not gonna put Thrash over Jeudy or Cooper. So I would say if he supplants anyone, it would be Elijah Moore for the wide receiver 3 spot. But yeah. Definitely Dynasty, though. If you haven't had your rookie draft in Dynasty, though, go after Jamari Thrash. I think he could be good for Cleveland in the next couple of years. James Prochet also catching its score for Cleveland. Mentioned DK scored on one of his 2 targets. And D. Eskridge trying to make the team, former 2nd-round pick. Pretty solid night. Not a lot of receiving work, just 3 catches for 19 yards, but a 79-yard punt return touchdown. That'll, added value on special teams. That's how you make a team. And how about the night for Seahawks linebacker Jamie Sheriff? 4 tackles, 3 solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 3 QB hits. The Browns plus 4.5, covered by the hook. I got 5, so it was close. I mean, the Browns scored with like 30 seconds to go, or actually, I think it was lower than that. I think it was like 12 seconds. And I was like, good Lord, dude, they're down too many points. I need them to score a touchdown to cover. My guy Tyler Huntley got done for me, though. Over 35.5 easily. 70, the highest scoring preseason game this year. And yesterday we had a triple header. Titans 30-27 over the Saints. So I had a horrendous football Saturday on the betting scorecard, but Sunday made up for it. I live bet the Titans. I saw how well Malik Willis was playing. I was like, Titans are going to go win this game, and that they did, 30-27. And Will Levis, we got to see him again. I think most of the starters that played this week looked good. I mean, 87.5%, 7 of 8, 118 yards. And Tajay Spears punched one in from 1 yard out. There was really good quarterback play most of this game. Mason Rudolph was very good as well. 11 of 15, 73.3%, fighting with Malik Willis to be the number 2 guy in Tennessee. I believe that's the battle. Again, I feel like I always forget like someone, just like I did with Drew Lock. But
I'll check real quick. I mean, right now the second QB position was between Rudolph and Willis. I don't see a 4th quarterback on the step chart.
Okay. Yeah, Malik Willis, though, not a lot of passing work, but 3 of 4, 51 yards, threw 2 touchdowns on his 3 completions. So that's efficient.
Exactly.
And 3 carries for 29 yards. He was close to a perfect quarterback rating, just a couple points off, 2.1 points away from perfect passer rating there. And it'll be interesting to see what the Saints do, because they had a backup battle as well. The rookie, Spencer Rattler, the 2nd-year player, Jake Hayner. And I think I think Rattler won it. I really do. Hayner was up and down in this one, and Rattler threw some beautiful balls down the sideline. One that he threw for a touchdown. He threw another one that was just off the receiver's hands. And the receivers didn't really help both quarterbacks in this one. I think there was probably like 6 drops by the receivers in this game. So, but yeah, I think it's pretty close this preseason. But I do think Spencer Rattler has probably won that job in New Orleans.
Yeah, I agree. Hayner just hasn't really showed much in terms of efficiency throughout basically 2 preseasons. I think Rattler just has a higher upside.
Yeah, for sure. And drafted higher than Jake Hayner. Rattler drafted in the 4th round this year. Jake Hayner drafted in the 5th round last year. For the Titans, running back Jabari Small led the game in rushing, 64 yards on 10 carries. Did have a fumble, caught a 12-yard pass as well. Jacob Cabote had an excellent day for New Orleans. I know he's probably not going to make the team, but did score twice, 59 yards on 12 carries and a 13-yard reception. I said Tajay Spears. I meant to say Tony Pollard punched one in from the 1-yard line. My bad. The other starting running back that the Titans have. A.T. Perry led the game in receiving, 67 on 2 catches on 4 targets. Good day for Titans rookie wide receiver Bryce Oliver. 3 catches, 52 yards, 2 touchdowns on 3 targets. And the 1 touchdown that Rattler threw was to Equanimeous St. Brown. Good day for him. And defensively, not a ton of stats, but I'm going to go with Saints corner Rico Payton, who has had a pretty good preseason. 3 tackles, all of them solos, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, and a QB hit. The Saints plus 5.5 covered over 37.5. I had the under. Broncos crushing the Cardinals 38-12, and there wasn't a competition.
There is now. No, I'm just kidding.
No, Jarrett Stidham is the guy behind Bo Nix, and I think it's going to stay that way. But dude, I mean, I was super impressed by Zach Wilson in this game. I mean, he was zipping the ball, a lot of velocity on a lot of his throws, and just overall, I mean, he looked like the guy that went high in the draft, the guy that we saw at BYU. So I don't know. I would think they keep all 3.
It would make no sense not to.
Yeah, I mean, they traded for Wilson, even though it was a 6th rounder. But yeah, I mean, there's no way. Just like you said about Trey Lance, you know, the draft pedigree. I mean, that alone, I think, would get someone to take Wilson off of waivers from the Broncos. For Arizona, they had an interesting. They also have a backup quarterback battle. And I don't know if anyone actually won it. Like, you know, they traded for Desmond Ridder this offseason, Clayton Tune in year 2 as a 5th rounder from last year. For me, I would go with Tune. I think he's looked better.
Yeah, and here's the thing with Ridder. You know what you have in Ridder. Like, everyone knows what you have in Ridder, and what you have is not very good.
Yeah, the interesting thing is Ridder is more like Kyler Murray than Clayton Tune is. Although Tune is sneaky athletic, I will say. He did throw a pick in this one, which was not his fault per se. He wasn't going to go back in the game. His day was done until Desmond Ridder got injured. And then Tune had to come in his first pass back in the game. He threw a pick 6 to rookie Lavelle Bailey. So it's a very tough situation for Clayton Tune. But yeah, so also the Ridder injury probably necessitates Clayton Tune being the backup anyways. For the Cardinals, Hassan Hall led the game in rushing, 59 yards on 19 carries, a touchdown, 4 catches for 28 yards as well. Audric Estime, the rookie out of Notre Dame, 5th rounder, had a touchdown in this one. Brandon Johnson for the Broncos. He led the game in receiving, 2 catches, 83 yards, a touchdown on his 2 targets. Tight end Nate Adkins also catching a touchdown from Zach Wilson as well for the Broncos. And defensively, dude, it's the rookie for me, Denver linebacker LaVale Bailey out of Fresno State. 2 tackles, 2 solos, pass defense, and a 94-yard pick 6. Jordan Jackson also looked very good for Denver on the interior D-line. The Broncos, minus 3.5, covered easily, over 34.5 by themselves. And the final preseason game of the 2024 preseason, it was a good one. I liked it. I enjoyed it. NBC, you had Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth on the call. 20-10 Commanders win in a comeback. They were down 10-0 early. But this is what everyone's talking about. I mean, right now is, what are the Patriots going to do? Is it Brissett or is it going to be May, which none of us thought was even a possibility early on in the preseason.
Remember when it was almost, hey, is it Joe Milton the second, and he just drops this dud on everyone?
Mm-hmm. And dude, I mean, I was super impressed by Drake May. I mean, that was the first time I had really watched him, and he had gotten extended looks, albeit against Washington backups. But I mean, the called back touchdown that they had, where he rolled left through kind of across his body it was a wide open guy, but he threw it like 45, 50 yards down the field for a touchdown that got called back on illegal formation. But yeah, I mean, he looked really good. Had a good run as well on 3 of his carries. So yeah, and Gerard Mayo even said Drake May has played better than Jacoby Brissett. So we're still waiting to see what the decision is in New England, but I don't think they're going to win regardless. Week 1, they are at Cincinnati. So yeah, Brissett not great, 50%, 19 yards, and he got hurt, right shoulder injury. So I mean, again, he's got 2 weeks essentially to get healthy, but we don't know the extent of that injury. And for Washington, they threw Jeff Driscoll out there. Not very good. But, dude, my guy Trace McSorley, baby, Penn State player, he was excellent. I know. It was only 57.1%. Only 125 yards. But, dude, he's got moxie, and that's what I said when he was coming out in the draft a couple years ago. A touchdown pass, 4 carries for 40 yards. He ran through some guys and willed this team to this win. Very, very good second half by Trace McSorley, and I know he's not going to make the team. He literally just signed like last week. But I mean, again, I think he's solid and good performance nonetheless. And he helped me win some money. I live bet the Commanders plus 8.5 when they were down 7-0. And then I live bet the Commanders the win at plus 280, which was excellent. Yeah, Terrell Jennings, a rookie, led the game in rushing outside of McSorley, 36 yards on 6 carries. Michael Wiley, undrafted out of Arizona, he had a touchdown on the ground. And Chris Rodriguez Jr. for Washington, he led the game in receiving, actually. Just 1 yard on his 1 carry, but 4 catches for 39 yards on his 5 targets. Kevin Harris was pretty similar. He had a minus 1 yard on his 1 carry, but he called an 18-yard touchdown. And how about the game-winning touchdown that put the Commanders up 17-10, or 20-10, I should say. Martavis Bryant. Yes, he is back in the league. 6 years he has been out of the NFL. Suspended for 2 years. Got back, reinstated. 3 years, his third year out, has played in fan-controlled football, the XFL, the AAF, whatever the hell. He's played in a bunch of different leagues trying to get back. And I think he's 30-something years old now. But, dude, he bodied up the corner on his touchdown and caught it right at the goal line, scored. And the Washington bench was going crazy for him. So I don't know if he's going to make this team, but, I mean, this is a crazy, great story, getting back to the league after so long. Defensively, I'm going to go with Washington defense tackle John Ridgway III, 3 tackles, all of them solos, 2 tackles for loss and a pass defense. Commanders plus 6.5 went out right under 36.5. All right, let's get to the breaking news.
Breaking news.
Yeah, it's not even breaking anymore. It's been like 30 minutes.
Post-breaking news.
But, yes, I know we're going to talk. We have some other trades to talk about, but the trade of the hour is the Green Bay Packers went and got himself a quarterback. And, dude, I talked to my uncle about this because he's a Packers fan. I talked to him yesterday about it. I was like, so are the Packers going to look for a veteran quarterback? Because Clifford nor Pratt have looked very good in the preseason. And today, GM Brian Gutekunst went out and got one. The guy that won the Titans the game yesterday, Malik Willis, is headed north to Green Bay. And it's a very good price for the Packers. 7th round pick. That's all it took. I was like, holy crap. How the hell did they get away with just sending a 7th? Malik Willis was a 3rd round pick 3 years ago. That's crazy. I'm just saying. But anyways, yeah, so Jordan Love has a new backup. And now it'll be Green Bay watch to see which guy do they keep. Do they even keep 3? I think they're going to keep one of those guys because they drafted those guys back-to-back years. I don't think they're going to waste 2 draft picks. And I think Pratt will be the guy that they keep because I think the league likes Pratt a lot more than they do Clifford. So I think Pratt will be the guy that they keep. And I think they're going to keep 3, though.
Yeah, I agree.
But what I was foreshadowing when we were talking about the Chargers game, dude, how does GM Joe Ortiz not call? Like, he has to be kicking himself. Like, bro, a 7th round pick? The Chargers couldn't afford a 7th round pick.
Don't worry, sir. I have this nice, lightly used Nick Mullins that I can offer you. Please take him off my hands. I'll give you a 6th round pick too. Just give me a 5th. As you can tell, I'm not high on Nick Mullins, but yeah.
No, yeah, it's. I still think that's just ridiculous. That obviously we don't know. We don't know if the Chargers were involved or not.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with how bad Easton Stick has looked, they had to have been. Had to have been. And I think they're going to be a team that's going to be one of the biggest teams looking at waivers for quarterbacks. I mean, they have to.
Hundley could be a choice.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a great choice.
I think it'd be a good choice.
He also has that hardball connection, playing in Baltimore under John for a couple years. So, yeah. All right. College football news. Just one little thing. Interesting. I read a CBS Sports article the other day. UConn is potentially looking at joining the Big 12. Obviously, they're an independent right now in football, but they play in the Big East in all their other sports. But I know a lot of people are focusing on basketball with this move because how good the Big 12 is in basketball. Would make it even better, which would be crazy. But yeah, so if they would do this, I think it said all sports excluding football would start, I think, next season, 2025. Um, Football, interestingly enough, wouldn't start until 2031. So that's crazy that it would take that long for UConn to get into the Big 12 in football. But I mean, they're not really ready to play in the Big 12 anyways, but still in football anyways. They are in basketball. All right, UFL news. We continue. It's the off season for the UFL, so continue to get roster movement here. So the Brahmas releasing a bunch of players, 10 in all, but some of the notables: running back Morgan Ellison, running back Puka Williams Jr., wide receivers Calvin Turner and Katie Cannon, and corners Quincy Wilson and Tease Tabor. I thought Morgan Ellison and Tease Tabor were interesting ones. I thought those guys played pretty well last year for San Antonio and should have been on the roster for next season, but alas, they are cut. Couple re-signings. The Stallions re-signed safety Kenny Robinson Jr. Roughnecks re-signed offensive tackle Isaiah Battle. The Michigan Panthers re-signing some key defensive players, edge rusher Kenny Willikis, linebacker Noah Dawkins, and safety Sean Mahone. The Brahmas re-signed offensive lineman Derek Kelly II, defensive tackle Kavion Patton, and linebacker Robert Barnes. And the Battlehawks, they re-signed corner Keelan Kennedy. All right, let's get to the other two trades that went down this week. So the Bears getting a defensive player, defensive tackle Chris Williams, and a 25 7th from the Browns for a 25 6th. And it made a ton of sense for Cleveland. Probably wasn't going to make the roster with the depth that Cleveland has in the interior D line. But Chris Williams is a guy that has played very well this preseason for Cleveland. So not shocking that he is on the move, and the Bears still trying to get some more help on the D line there for Montez Sweat. So yeah, makes a ton of sense for this trade. And I don't have as much for this one. The Seahawks getting linebacker Trevis Gibson from the Jags. I haven't seen anything where it says the exact pick on this. So what I've seen is just a late round pick. So probably a 7, I would assume, going back to Jacksonville. But yeah, guys that's been around the league for a little bit and can give the Seahawks some rotational edge rush.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right, NFL news. The Eagles. I'm very excited, dude. They are going to induct running back LaShawn McCoy into the Eagles Hall of Fame this year during their Sunday Night Football game against the Jags on November 3rd. Super excited, dude. Shady, the all-time crazy. I feel like I knew, but didn't remember. He's the Eagles' all-time leading rusher, and also has their all-time rushing performance for yards in a game, 217 in the Snow Bowl against the Detroit Lions in I think in 2017, I think that was, or maybe earlier than that. I don't remember. But anyways, yeah, very, very happy for Shady. I mean, he's one of my favorite Eagles of all time that I've watched. And, he was on those Eagles teams that I was growing up watching. So very excited for Shady. And he's also a South Central Pennsylvania guy. He's from Harrisburg, still lives in Harrisburg as well. So, yeah, love the local guys from my hometown area. You don't have anything on Shady, man? I thought you would have something.
He's your guy, in mine. Great career. Every time he held the ball when he ran, though, I feel like I had a heart attack.
Yes.
Dude ran with the ball like he was holding a candy bar. Like, my God.
I don't know what. And the crazy thing is, I mean, I don't know his career stats off the top. I don't think he has that many career fumbles, though.
No, and that's the crazy thing because he would feel like contact and immediately just like tuck that in. Like it was one of the most insane things. It was like the quickest reaction I've ever seen. Like I'm looking it up now. Like his career, he had a total of 25 fumbles, and what was it, 170 games.
I mean, so that's on par though, because
yeah, it really is.
when we talked running backs, whether it's like a Hall of Fame or whatever, guys retiring that have had longer-ish careers, and I feel like we always are appalled by like over 20 fumbles, but Shady has 25, and it's like, I guess that's like on par for most, a career.
Yeah, I mean, his season highest is 4. So I mean, he never had a season where he just wouldn't hang on to the ball. I think my favorite thing about LaShawn McCoy's career is just how it ended. He was just a backup for back-to-back Super Bowl teams, and he really owned it. He would just like pose the Super Bowl trophies, like, I didn't do anything for this, but thanks.
Got a ring, baby. He was inactive.
Too.
He was inactive for both.
Still got him.
Yeah. The Rams. How about this one? Interesting. We could have another trade this coming week. The Rams have granted linebacker Ernest Jones IV permission to seek a trade. So it's interesting in the fact that like he is one of the most important defensive players for LA. 146 tackles last year, led the team. And yeah, I mean, he's going to be a free agent next season. So it's a 1-year rental essentially for any team that trades for him, unless they're going to sign him to a deal. So I'm not sure what his market's going to be with the, off-ball linebacker position kind of being like the defensive running back in terms of the market value. I'm not sure, but I mean, we've seen guys get deals. Patrick Queen with the Steelers, big deal this offseason. I don't think Jones is necessarily on Queen's level yet, but I still think it's interesting to see if he goes anywhere or not and what the price tag is. I just can't think of anyone that really needs linebacker at this point. The one actually, though, I know they wouldn't do it because they wouldn't trade him in division, but the 49ers would be a team that I would think, just because, we don't know when Dre Greenlaw is going to get back on the field. And, Fred Warner needs some help beside him. So, yeah. All right. Some guys staying on their injury lists to start the season. The Browns, running back Nick Chubb, pretty much expected. Going to stay on PUP. He's out for the first 4 games. That is the same with Dolphins linebackers Bradley Chubb and Cameron Good, and offensive lineman Isaiah Wynn. Odell Beckham Jr. also possibly could be in that conversation as well to stay on the PUP list. I guess there's little uncertainty on whether he's still going to miss the first 4 or if he can play within that first 4 game time frame. But and the Lions, they are keeping rookie guard Christian Mahogany on the NFI list, so he is also out for the first 4 games. The Broncos, they are looking for a trade partner. They are looking to move running back Samaje Perine before the cut down. He had a pretty good preseason for Denver, so would not be shocked if he gets moved to someone that needs running back depth. Who that team is, I have no clue. Vikings need any running back depth?
No, I mean, we just released 2 today.
Okay.
So I think we're good.
Couple PUP activations. Big name players getting activated. Lions defensive tackle DJ Reader. I think he's going to be awesome for Detroit this year. He's going to help Aiden Hutchinson so much, getting some interior pressure and kind of relieving the pressure for Aiden Hutchinson. And he's a massive body, so run stuffing for Detroit as well. And the Browns getting really good news. Offensive tackle Jack Conklin activated off PUP, so he will be on the active roster for the start of the season. Whether he's on the field or not to start week 1, I have question marks on whether he's going to be there. I don't know if he'll be ready or not by then. And a couple IR moves. The Lions, they placed corner Emmanuel Mosley on IR. I think, if I remember right, he had the torn pec, I think. And your Vikings placing offensive lineman Dalton Reisner on IR. So both of those guys can return this year. Earliest would be week 5. Injuries. 49ers. Edge rushers Leonard Floyd and Yetur Gross-Matos. Knee sprains for them. And that's tough. I mean, that's half of their starting rotation. So, I mean, the Niners are in a pickle here because, you know, we've already seen 2 pass rushers get moved on the trade market. So they're like, bro, like who else is like offering anyone out there? Like, who can we get? Because I think they have to make a move right now, depending on how long these guys are out. If there's a low cost option that can be serviceable for, you know, the first quarter of the season, I think they have to look at doing that. Bad news for Dallas. Cowboys corner Deron Bland. He has a stress fracture in his foot. Going to have surgery on it. 6 to 8 weeks is the time frame for him. So, again, a position not that deep, I don't think, in Dallas. And Trayvon Diggs is going to have to shoulder a lot of the load. Cardinals, rookie defensive lineman Darius Robinson, first-round pick this year. Calf injury. He's going to be out multiple weeks. Good candidate to go on IR as well, they said. Patriots, I mentioned quarterback Jacoby Brissett, right shoulder injury for him. That's all I know at this point. Bad news for the Titans. Linebacker Chance Campbell. Love Chance Campbell, man. Very good player. A couple of years now removed from his Ole Miss days. Out for the season, though. Torn ACL for him. And the Seahawks, bad news. Edge rusher Uchenna Nwosu, their number 1 edge rusher there. MCL sprain. He is out 2 to 6 weeks.
Ooh.
All right, let's get to cut down day. It's not cut down day technically, because tomorrow is the actual day where all of the cuts have to be made and every team has to be at 53 men on their rosters. But we're getting a lot of them today. So starting out, Dolphins quarterback Mike White. So we see Skylar Thompson has won that backup job behind Tua Tagovailoa, as I thought he should have, because played much better than Mike White this preseason. For the Colts, notables, quarterback Keaton Slovis, wide receiver Tyree Cleveland, wide receiver Greg Ward, edge rusher Derek Rivers, safety Ronnie Harrison Jr., and kicker Spencer Schrader. I think Ronnie Harrison was probably the most surprising one out of all the cuts that I've seen today. I really thought he was going to make that team, and I know he was kind of playing in a hybrid role as a linebacker and safety, but from what I heard early on in camp for Indy, like Harrison was playing very well. So I was kind of shocked about that one.
Yeah, me too.
For the Falcons, quarterback John Paddock, tight ends Austin Stogner and Jordan Thomas, offensive tackle Jared Jones-Smith, defensive end Bradley Anai, linebacker Story Jackson, and defensive back Lucas Dennis. A lot of UFL flavor there. Notables for Atlanta. Jags, wide receivers Joseph Skates and Seth Williams, and Denzel Mims also on the chopping block there in Jacksonville. Edge rusher Braylon Speaks and defensive back Tavon Campbell. Dude, I mean, I don't get it. Braylon Speaks needs to be on a freaking NFL team. He's too good. He won the USFL Defensive Player of the Year 2 years ago with the Michigan Panthers. Played very well last year with Michigan as well. I don't know. Like I think he's just too good. And he's a former second-round pick of the Chiefs. You know, I think he's too good that he should be somewhere. Whether that's on, I think he will make a practice squad hopefully this year. But yeah. For the Rams, quarterback Dresser Wynn, running backs Sir Roderick Thompson and Boston Scott, offensive tackle Matt Caskey, center Alec Lindstrom, and linebacker Ochuan Mathis. I was shocked. Boston Scott, I was shocked that he got cut by LA. I mean, he played very well this preseason. I know he's, on the older side now, but unfortunately, the Eagles have too many running backs, or else I would say bring him back to Philly. But we have too many good running backs that we just don't have a spot for him.
Mhm.
He is the giant killer, though. So whatever team that gets him, if you play the Giants, start Boston Scott that week. For those Giants, by the way, running back Joshua Kelly, offensive tackle Marcus McKeithen, and defensive tackle Timmy Horn. The Bills, wide receiver Demir Bird, defensive end Rondell Bothroyd, and linebacker Deion Jones. Deion Jones, intriguing name, getting cut by Buffalo, especially with Matt Milano being out now for the year, essentially. Interesting that they cut a veteran like Jones. Your Vikings, quarterback Matt Corral, running backs Dwayne McBride and Mo Ibrahim, wide receiver Justin Hall, offensive lineman Chuck Filiaga, edge rusher Owen Porter, and corner AJ Green. Any surprises there?
I would say only two really stick out. Dwayne McBride, I thought, had really solid camp, but the problem is the Vikings have just, in my opinion, a very solid running back depth chart. I mean, he was stuck behind, obviously, Aaron Jones. Ty Chandler had been good. Gaskin had a great preseason, way better than McBride. And of course, Kenny. I mean, he had a good preseason at the running back position and as a kick returner. So he just got muscled out by just better players around him. But I would not be overly shocked if he found his way onto a roster. The other one, this one didn't shock me as much as McBride, but I thought Justin Hall had a really solid preseason. I mean, especially this last game against the Eagles. But again, kind of a similar situation with the running back room. That wide receiver room is very solid, so I'm not surprised at all. But
yeah, I think it was also tough for Hall. He didn't come in until I think he signed during the first week of the preseason, or he signed during the second week of the preseason.
Yeah,
so
it was really recent. So same with Mo Ibrahim,
yeah.
if I remember correctly. Ibram, yeah, he signed a week ago and he played Saturday. Oh no, Friday. But yeah, I mean, it was I'm not surprised at any of the cuts. You look at the positions of the players cut, and you're just like, oh yeah, just crowded room there.
I was kind of surprised about Owen Porter. I know we talked about him a little bit before with the Vikings, but very good player out of Marshall, undrafted this year, but just didn't show enough in the preseason, really.
Yeah, we had a ton of other undrafted free agent edge rushers and outside linebackers that really, really impressed. Carter did really well. Murphy did all right. I forget his name. Bo Richter. Bo Richter was a beast.
Oh, yeah.
First 2 weeks of the preseason. So, I mean, similar situation with the other guys. He just was muscled out by other undrafted free agents at the same position.
On the Bucks, they cut wide receiver Sterling Shepard. Big name there. Ravens cutting wide receiver Russell Gage. The Chiefs, quarterback Ian Book, wide receiver Phillip Brooks, tight end Jerquarius Spivey, and corner Kelvin Joseph, and long snapper Randon Plattner. The Eagles, quarterback Will Greer, edge rusher Julian Aquara, and guard Max Sharping. I was kind of surprised about Sharping. I thought he had a chance to make the roster. Played a bunch in the preseason and has guard tackle flexibility. But again, like you were saying with the Vikings, I mean, the Eagles have really solid offensive line depth. So, a good player is on the way out there. And then the Broncos also made a bunch of moves. Let's see. Wow. I mean, they got some names they moved on. Angelo Blackson, they cut. Very surprised by that one. Also, veteran Philip Dorsett and linebacker Andre Smith as well. They also waived safety Omar Brown, former Nebraska Cornhusker there. And my guy Alec Mock, love Alec Mock, man, former Air Force Falcon there as well. So he had a pretty good preseason, actually. But yeah, cuts for the Broncos there as we await more from all of the teams and a lot of teams we didn't even get cuts from yet. So, and we had the extension today, the one that a lot of people are waiting for. CeeDee Lamb getting his bag today. 4 years, $136 million extension, $100 million guaranteed. And oh, by the way, he got the highest receiver signing bonus in NFL history, $38 million just to sign his name. Yeah, I mean, it makes total sense. Second highest paid receiver, second highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history, just below Justin Jefferson's deal at the wide receiver position, and very much worth it. We talked about CD versus JJ, when JJ got his deal, I think, or maybe when CD was holding out, but whenever it was, I said, you look at the numbers between the two, they're very similar. I know. You said JJ has played less games and put up more numbers, but still, I think CD is very much deserving of this deal. And for once, Dallas actually did the right thing and signed the guy that they should have. And now it's, does Dak get signed or not? I know what my thing is, but you can talk about CD and Dak if you want first.
I mean, obviously JJ is the best wide receiver in the league, but CD, I mean, he has made obvious arguments for being, I would say, top 10, easy. I would say you could push for top 5. I think, I don't know if there's 5 better. He's probably borderline top 5, but yeah, this deal makes a lot of sense. When it comes to Dak, I think I've said this a ton of times when it comes to re-signing quarterbacks. I said it for Trevor Lawrence. I think I kind of said it for Tua. I mean, not Tua Tagovailoa. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't, because we know Dak's ceiling. He's a very solid quarterback. He's gotten this team to winning records. He's gotten this team to the playoffs consistently. I wouldn't say he has like MVP numbers, but he has top end quarterback numbers in this league. But at the same time, if you're going to re-sign him, he's going to become a top 5 paid quarterback when that contract's signed. It's guaranteed, no question about it. You're going to have to make him a top 5 paid quarterback in this league. And that's the damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because if you do, this Dallas Cowboy team, which has already struggled under their salary cap and losing a lot of talent, will eventually have to lose more. But if you don't, you have to restart your QB search. I mean, there's not a QB in the late first round next year that's going to be that guy. I don't know if you can wait 2 years for your guy with how this roster is constructed. So it really does feel like Dallas is backed into a corner with having to negotiate with Dak. But it feels like they've really waited too long to start negotiating.
Yeah, I'm just going to literally, whenever we get the Dak contract, I'm going to come on here and do a Stephen A. Smith laugh and clap because it's
you got to have the hat too, and you just got to yell, "How about them Cowboys?"
I am just going to laugh my ass off when that happens because that's going to be the biggest flunder that the Cowboys can ever do because Dak's not worth the money. He's not an elite quarterback. He's a very good quarterback, not an elite quarterback. And the Cowboys are never going to win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. And the problem with Dak, too, it's just he's not a young man anymore. He's not like that, like, up-and-coming quarterback. He's 31.
Yeah, he was an older rookie.
It's not like the Trevor Lawrence thing or Tua thing where you're like re-signing these guys long-term when, Trevor Lawrence, 24, Tua Tagovailoa, 26. These guys in their mid-20s. Dak is 31. Like, you are paying for the back half of his prime. Like, this, if you make him a top 5 paid quarterback, I think you've kind of just accepted you're a every other year division winner. Maybe win a wild card game if everything goes right, get to the conference finals, but that's it. That's your peak. That's your absolute peak right there with Dak.
Yeah, and I don't see how they can make it work financially if they sign Dak, because you have to sign Micah Parsons. There's no question. You have to get Micah Parsons done.
Micah Parsons is game changing.
Yeah. And he's one of the best defensive players in the league. Maybe even the best, but.
And again, Micah Parsons, guess what? 25.
Right.
Middle of his prime.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, when you look at it financially, I don't see, even though we have seen, obviously the cap went crazy this year and the amount of that the cap went up. I don't think it's not gonna be that every year. There's not gonna be a massive jump in the cap every season.
Yeah. And it's just, even with the cap jump, it's just not going to be enough to field a very competitive team.
Yeah. You have to pay Micah Parsons. I don't know what the top defensive player.
Whatever it is, he's probably going to match it.
Yeah, he's going to beat it. Yeah. I mean, it's Myles Garrett or TJ Watt probably, I would think. But yeah, I mean, you're going to have to pay probably $30+ million a year for Micah Parsons. And
yeah, I mean, I'm looking it up right now. Highest paid Nick Bosa, $34 million.
Yeah, right. So you're going to pay $35 million a year for Micah Parsons, and you're already paying $34 million a year for CeeDee Lamb. There's not enough cap to sign a $50 million a year quarterback, So.
And then what are you going to do with Trayvon Diggs?
Right.
What happens if Bland, the guy that just had a stress fracture in his foot, what if he doesn't return back to optimal level? And now you're in a situation where my defensive backfield is just Diggs, who I hope we can re-sign, and a bunch of scrubs.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I disagree with you on the quarterback thing, though, for the draft. I do think there are going to be enough quarterbacks this year that they could find one later in the draft. But again, I don't even think they're going to be back there. I mean, for my preseason prediction anyways, I didn't have the Cowboys being very good this year. I had them being fringe wild card team. So they're going to be, I think, at the worst, middle of the draft, which is where you can find, I think, probably either the fourth quarterback, I would say.
So they'll essentially be where the Broncos were.
Yeah. But there's not going to be 6 quarterbacks going.
No, there's not.
This year.
It could be a Christian Ponder situation where they overdraft a quarterback at mid-teens just because they need it.
I know we are going into week 1 in the college, but Shedeur Sanders is my guy for Dallas. All right. I know we're frozen, but anyways, let's get to college football week 1. We're just going to go through these real quick. And I don't know if they've posted the lines or not yet, because I didn't have the betting lines whenever I wrote the script. So, and some of them we won't have because they play against FCS schools and they don't release those until like the day before. So anyways, on a Thursday, there's a bunch of games I'm looking out for. Some ranked teams playing. Western Carolina ranked in the top 25 FCS poll, so not a bad squad. Going to number 24 NC State, the Wolfpack, they're 33-point favorites. I would lean on Western Carolina plus 33. Like I said, they're a top 25 FCS team. So I know they're going to.
Can you see the PowerPoint?
not on the
Because you're on Logan's CFP bracket. If you're
Oh, my bad.
now
Okay.
you're on news.
Yeah, okay. I forgot I put those in before. But okay, it's fine. It's fine.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I forgot to even put that in the script, the CFP. Anyways, well, before we get to, I know I'm on Logan's CFP bracket, but before we get to that, I'll just say I would lean Western Carolina plus 33, 7 p.m. ACC network for that one. But let's go into Logan's CFP bracket, and because I can't see it, it's your turn, Jimmy, to talk.
All right, I'll talk it through. I'll start from the far left side. I'll read out his first two outs. He has University of Miami, Florida, first out, and he has Tulane, second out. In his 12th seed in those playoff first rounds, he's got Boise State taking on LSU, the 5-12 matchup. In the 8-9 matchup, he got Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish, against University of Utah. In the 6-11 matchup, we have the University of Oregon and KU, Kansas. And then the final game of the first round, the 7-10 matchup, he's got Texas Longhorns, hook 'em, against Mizzou. Following that, we got the second round, the quarterfinals. LSU will beat Boise to take on number 4 North Carolina. The second matchup, he has Utah taking on your Bulldogs of Georgia.
Good
And
dog.
then third matchup, we got a University of Arizona taking on University of Oregon. And then finally, you have the Ohio State University taking on Mizzou. A little rematch of last year's Sugar Bowl. Hopefully, Ohio State plays better than last year. Finally, in your semifinals, you got LSU against Georgia. Good old SEC matchup for
It just means more.
It just means more. And then, what's this? Another in-conference matchup, a new in-conference matchup because of realignment and the Big Ten. You got the Ohio State University taking on Oregon. And then for his national championship, he's got the Georgia Bulldogs against the Ohio State. And he has your Bulldogs, once again, national champions.
Yes, sir, baby. Dynasty, 3 out of 4.
That's right.
Yeah. I was pretty shocked by Logan having Tulane as the second team out. I haven't heard of really anyone having a second group of 5 team that close. But yeah, I don't know. Everyone is picking for the 5th conference champion. Everyone's picking Boise State and Liberty. But as we'll see with yours and my brackets, we did not do that for the 5th conference champion.
Mm-hmm.
I was also intrigued by Logan. He has UNC winning the ACC. Crazy. I don't think I've seen anyone with UNC winning the ACC in the 4th slot. And I don't really think I have any other shocks on his other than I know Mizzou was not a team that I had in mind. And yeah, I mean the quarterfinals I think would be all 4 really good games. Maybe the LSU UNC I don't think will be that great, but Georgia Utah would be awesome. So would Oregon Arizona. Ohio State Missouri would be okay, I think. And then of course Oregon Ohio State, LSU Georgia would be great, and Georgia Ohio State would be great as well. So. All right, I think yours is next.
I'll let you know. Yeah, it's me.
Yeah.
It's your boy. I'll start from the far left again. I got my first 2 outs. First out, I'm sorry.
Why you got to do that to me?
I don't believe in Drew Aller. I don't. I think he's a big bag of turds. And then my second out, I got the Volunteers. So a couple solid teams. In my first round, number 12, I got my favorite Fun Belt team on the planet, Texas State. My boys. Number 5, I got Alabama because, even though they've lost Nick Saban, I think they still got a good program. I think they're going to secure fifth. In my 8-9 matchup, I got the always hated University of Michigan Wolverines against the Ducks of Oregon. In my 6-11 matchup, I got LSU against OU, University of Oklahoma. And in my 7-10 matchup, I also have Texas at 7, and I got Notre Dame at 10. In my playoff quarterfinals, I got Alabama beating the crap out of Texas State, turning around and going up against Clemson. That's right. That's who I have it coming out of the UCC. Clemson as the number 4 seed. And then the next matchup, I got Michigan, Georgia. Ooh, the last 3 champions going up against each other in quarterfinals. That will be a good one to watch. And then in my third quarterfinal game, I got the Ohio State University representing the 3rd seed going up against LSU. They beat up Oklahoma and go on to take on the Ohio State. And then my final quarterfinal game, probably my biggest surprise, I got Kansas State having an absolute tear of a season. I think they're going to be the Cinderella team of the season. Everyone's going to want to root for them. They're going to be taking on Notre Dame. And then
they're not just the Big 12 champ. They are the number 2 seed.
That's right. They're going to shock the world, baby. They're my big Cinderella. I think everyone's going to fall in love with that team, and I think the media is going to do it as well. They're going to want to root for them, and they're going to go all the way to number 2. And now we're getting to the semis, and you're going to love this matchup, a classic SEC matchup. You got Bama going up against Georgia, the Bulldogs. Absolute fire. That's going to be one for the ages. And then get this, I set up another rivalry game for the playoff semifinals. That's right. The Ohio State University taking on the Fighting Irish. That's right. Can you believe it? The number 10 seed. You thought KSU was going to be Cinderella? Nah, the 10 seed. Notre Dame is going to make it all the way to the semis, but they're not going to make it after that because, like Logan, I got Georgia and Ohio State in the national championship, and I'm sorry, your dynasty's delayed because the Ohio State University will be national champions, or I swear to God, Ryan Day is going to be shot out of a cannon, out of the country, and out of my life for good.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I don't. Yours is definitely interesting. Definitely a little bit different than Logan and I, with KSU in there and Oklahoma and Michigan. You're on the Kirk Herbstreit train though with Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, I think they might still pull it off. To my disbelief and anger.
Yeah, well, I can tell you someone that doesn't have Ohio State.
You son of a bitch.
Well, I mean, I have Ohio State doing decent this year. Let me just get to my my college football predictions here. And yeah, I mean, I have Ohio State finishing 4th. I still have them going 10-2. Logan has them going 11-1. That's why he has them in the national championship. But I have them finishing 4th in the Big Ten. Even at 10-2, that's still a quality season. But I have too many other people with better or similar records that I think are better teams. So mine's on the screen, right?
Yes, sir.
So I can go through it. I have it up on my phone. So, yeah, so my first one out and my second, 2 ACC teams, Clemson and Miami. I'm really high on both teams. You know, I had Clemson losing to Florida State in the ACC championship game, which actually it's fine that Florida State lost because I actually only had Florida State going 10-2. So perfectly fine. They still have 1 loss to go. They can still win the ACC and get in as my 4th seeded champion. And yeah, so I have Texas State just like you. Go Bobcats, right? GJ squad. I think they are going to be very good this year and win the Sun Belt. And hopefully I know the AAC, the American Conference, is probably the Sun Belt's biggest competitor. I mean, I don't know. I think there are a lot of good teams in the Sun Belt, and I think if Texas State comes out, plays like I think they can with the offense that GJ Kinney runs, play some little bit better defense than last year, I think they can win the Sun Belt and be ranked high enough to get in as the number 12 seed and the fifth conference champion. I have them going against Notre Dame. I have Notre Dame as the highest non-conference champion because fifth is the highest that they can be ever because they aren't in a conference. So I have, crazily, Notre Dame going 12-0 this year.
Whoa.
I just think their schedule is not that great, and they only face a couple of ranked teams, and I think they're going to show how good they are this coming weekend against Texas A&M in Kyle Field. But yeah, so I had Texas State going 11-1, by the way, and winning the Sun Belt. Next up is the 8-9 matchup, Utah and Penn State. So I had Utah really good. I had Utah losing to Arizona in the Big 12 championship, 11-1. Penn State, I have losing in the Big 10 championship, 11-1 as well. So there's that. Two 11-1 teams in the 8-9. Yeah, 11. I'm on the board with Logan, man. We are big believers in the Kansas Jayhawks this year, and I have Kansas in third in the Big 12, 11-1. They go up against a tough opponent, though, Alabama. I have Alabama losing to Georgia in the SEC championship game, being 11-1. Next up is the 10-7 matchup. I have LSU finishing fourth in the SEC at 11-1, and they play Texas, who I have finishing third in the conference at 11-1. Yes, 4 11-1 teams at the top for the SEC. Crazy, I know, but that's just how it worked out. So Notre Dame plays Florida State. I think that's a very tough matchup. Historical matchup, just like your Notre Dame-Ohio State matchup. But I really like the Irish this year. I love Riley Leonard transfer in from Duke, and I think Marcus Freeman's defense is still going to be very good. And I mean, Florida State didn't show well on Saturday, so I don't even know if they'll be playing against Florida State when it comes to the CFP this year. But I have Penn State moving on over Utah. That's going to be, we're hammering the under if that game happens, because both defenses are going to ball out, and we might get a Snoopy Bowl type of score, 10-6. So they go up against Georgia, who is my SEC champ. And then I have Alabama beating Kansas State, going up against my Big 12 champ in Arizona. Yes, the Wildcats, 11-1. Under new head coach Brent Brennan, coming over from San Jose State in the third seed. Teteroa McMillan at wide receiver. Why am I blanking on the quarterback's name? Noah Fafita at quarterback. I just think that combination is going to be deadly this year, just like it was last season. So yeah, I have Texas beating LSU in the SEC matchup, heading on to play my Big 10 champ and undefeated Oregon, 12-0 for Logan and me. So it's consensus. It's not just me. 12-0 for both of us on the Ducks this year. I have, like I said, Notre Dame beating FSU. Very difficult game for me. Penn State playing Georgia. But I went to Georgia. I didn't go to Penn State. Go Dogs. Georgia wins, moves on to the semis against Notre Dame. I have Alabama beating Arizona. I think SEC defense is going to be able to shut down that aforementioned Fafita McMillan combination. And then I have Oregon beating Texas. I just think Oregon is loaded this year and ready to go. And then, of course, Georgia beating Notre Dame. I don't think that's going to be as good of a game as it sets up to be. I know both There's going to be one loss between them, with Georgia having the one loss, and Notre Dame being undefeated. But I think Georgia is definitely the better team. And then Oregon, Alabama. I think Oregon is definitely the better team. I think they're going to stifle Jalen Milroe, and Dylan Gabriel on offense is going to boost them up a lot. So it is Bulldogs, Ducks in the national championship. And of course, Georgia, go Dogs, baby. 3 out of 4. And Kirby Smart gets the legacy game and the dynasty. Any remarks?
Fair enough. I mean, I'm sad to see my Ohio State team didn't make your bracket, but I get the reasoning. And hopefully, if your bracket is true, that means Ryan Day has been fired into the sun, baby. A new beginning for the Ohio State.
Like I said, I do think Ohio State's going to be good. Just it was crazy. I told someone this week, having the 14 playoff, I actually don't think it was that difficult, other than last year, to pick the 4 teams. But with 12 teams, and you look at, I think this year in college football, there's going to be so much parity. I have too many teams with good records in my preseason predictions. Obviously, they're not all correlated because we did each conference in a vacuum. But I still think, there's going to be too many teams, too many good teams. And people are going to be left out, and they're going to be pissed. So, all right, we already did NC State, Western Carolina.
Oh, wait, go back. You're on Heisman winner.
Oh, yeah, right. So, this year, of course, I have Georgia winning the national championship. Go Dogs, baby. Carson Beck is your Heisman winner in 2024. Dude, I mean, he's got the weapons. He's got some returning receivers. They got some guys in the portal. Ben Urasek, I'm telling you right now, the transfer from Stanford at tight end, I think I put in a bet already for him to win the Mackey Award, the best tight end in the country, because Brock Bauer just has won it. And I'm telling you, Ben Urasek has a great shot at it with how much they use 12 personnel. He's going to be very good, was good at Stanford for, a program that has kind of gone downhill. I think he's going to be great for Carson Beck and a good security blanket. And Trevor Etienne as well in the backfield. They got from Florida. I think is going to be very good. And the offensive line is solid once again this year. So I like Carson Beck. Oh, I'm catching up on my screen a little bit.
Well, there you go. I think I get the argument, but I think my only pushback on that, and I'm going to say, obviously, Carson Beck is obviously more talented naturally than the guy I'm going to compare him to real quick. But I feel like this is like putting Stetson Bennett in the Heisman argument because of his weapons. That being said, Joe Burrow won the Heisman because of his weapons as well. So it could go either way. I don't want to just look at the QB with the best weapons and go, oh, yeah, he's obviously going to win Heisman. But I do obviously think Carson Beck is better than Stetson Bennett. But I fear that argument could be made just to say, like, oh, yeah, Brock Purdy should win MVP.
We are back, baby.
We're back. Yes.
It took me 18 minutes to get back.
Well, we pushed on.
But no, Carson Beck's such a better player than Stetson Bennett. Anyway,
he's a lot better.
Go ahead with yours. Go ahead with your Heisman.
I went Jalen Milroe. I liked a lot what I saw from last year. Sure, he's coming into like new coaching with Saban out, but I mean, he's still a Sabanite. I think that what I saw in his two-way game last year really, really impressed me. I think there's only room to go up. And yeah, I mean, it really is just that simple. I think Jalen Milroe, his year-to-year progression has been incredible. I think last year he took a massive jump. And if he can continue that with the team he has, and Bama just has a great track record of creating just very solid teams and very solid players, I think Milroe has a very good shot.
Yeah, I think he will definitely be in New York. I think he's got a good shot. Obviously, the dual threat nature.
Oh yeah.
makes him a good candidate to start off with. But yeah, I mean, I think too many people are discounting Alabama, even though we all three had Alabama in our bracket.
Yeah.
I just think everyone's like, "Oh, Nick Saban's gone. Alabama's gonna suck." No, they're not gonna suck. They're gonna be in the SEC championship. I have them in there anyways against Georgia.
I mean, even with Saban not there, the structure is still there.
You know? Yeah, and Kalen DeBoer is a great coach. He's won every place he's won, every place he's been. And he just was in the national championship last year with Washington. So
yeah, I mean, they're fine.
Logan is going a little outside the box. I kind of talked about Missouri with his bracket, and he is going with Brady Cook to win the Heisman. He thinks the Tigers quarterback is the guy. And I mean, it's not a bad candidate. It's a dark horse for sure. I mean, if you're betting on Brady Cook to win Heisman, you're going to win buku bucks. I don't know what he is actual odds, but I'm sure he's not top 10. I can tell you that probably.
Let me look it up.
I mean, I do think Missouri is going to be pretty good this year. I have Mizzou at 10-2, finishing 6th in the SEC. I just have too many good teams in that conference up there. So yeah, I mean, he's got Luther Burden. He's got, Marcus Carroll in the backfield as well. So yeah,
I found his odds plus 3,500, same as Oklahoma QB Jackson Arnold and Penn State QB Drew Aller.
My guy,
Guy.
So $100 bet, you win $3,500. So.
Yeah. Put that in perspective. My guy Jalen Milroe is plus 1,000, and Carson Beck plus 750.
I was gonna say, don't say Carson Beck. He's the second Heisman odds behind Dillon Gabriel. Logan wanted to go with Carson Beck, but he didn't want to be chalk. So
yeah.
All right, we got to talk about that game. Murray State at, look at that, number 11 Missouri.
Speaking of which, hey, I gotta hop off. Sorry, I got something coming up. So have fun with these games.
It's gonna be quick. At Missouri, I think the Racers are going to have a hard time against Mizzou on Thursday night. We don't have any odds for this game right now, but would expect Missouri to be heavily favored at home. So, Tigers are going to win this game going away, I think. Murray State's not that great of a team. Kind of fringe FCS top 25 yearly. But, yeah, Mizzou, and I probably like the spread, whatever it is. Again, don't have the total, but we'll see. 8 p.m. SEC Network on Thursday. Lindenwood, the Lions at number 22, Kansas. I think Kansas is going to absolutely demolish Lindenwood. I will probably take whatever spread I can get on Kansas and run with it because Lindenwood's not a good program. They're an FCS team, but KU, I think Logan and I know the Jayhawks, Jalen Daniels, they're gonna roll absolutely in this game. FBS matchup, North Carolina at Minnesota. I think this one's intriguing, guys. It actually has flipped crazily. The UNC bettors have came to town because it is now UNC -2. Max Brosmer, new quarterback for Minnesota, probably going to be Max Johnson, the Texas A&M transfer for North Carolina. I think this is going to be a very good, entertaining game. I don't really have a decision on which side. I would probably lean Carolina. I think they're the better team. And just looking at my preseason predictions, I have UNC as a 10-2 squad. Minnesota is a 5-7 team. So I'll probably roll with UNC. UNC -2 is pretty decent odds for Mac Brown's squad. I know it's on the road. PJ Fleck, they're rowing the boat out there, but we got totals 50.5. I like the under. I'm leaning the under. In my head, it seems good, but I don't know. I'm leaning on the under 50.5. 8 p.m. on Fox. Another FBS matchup: Coastal Carolina at Jacksonville State. The the Gamecocks getting 2.5 here at home. And I don't really have a play on this one. I think there's a lot of unknowns for both teams here. New head coach with Coastal Carolina and a lot of new players there. So I think I would lean Chanticleers, but again, it's in Jacksonville, Alabama. So wouldn't be shocked if the Gamecocks win it there. Total is 55.5. And again, I'm leaning the under, but not really completely sure on that one. 8 p.m. CBS Sportsnet. I think I must have skipped a game here. Yeah, so I missed the game. North Dakota State at Colorado. The Buffaloes getting 10. Now, I would normally play North Dakota State plus 10, but I'm going to lean off of it for now. I just think we haven't seen North Dakota State be that kind of team in a while, that dominant FCS powerhouse. Now they have gotten, into the FCS playoffs and gotten pretty far in the FCS playoffs each season the last couple of years. But they're in Boulder. It's a night game on a Thursday. I don't know. I'm leaning NDSU plus 10, and I think it's a trap game for Colorado, but I do think Buffaloes will win eventually. Total is 59.5. I like the over in that game, 8 p.m. on ESPN. And Southern Utah, the Chargers at number 12, Utah. I think Utah is going to absolutely roll. I think they could shut out Southern Utah potentially with the defensive players that Kyle Whittingham has. So I really like Utah. We don't have a spread or a total for this game, but go Utes. I think they roll in this one. 9 p.m. ESPN Plus. And yeah, so we are going to pick a game because it happens on Thursday and it's our FCS game of the week. But just to give you an idea of what happened last year, college football pick standings last season, Logan ran away with it, beat me by 18, less than 100 losses on the season for Logan. Yes, we picked 419 college football games last year, and Logan had less than 100 losses last season. And just to put that in perspective, Logan had a 78.3% win percentage. So very, very good season by Logan. We finished off everyone 1-1. Jimmy got Michigan right in the college football playoff national championship. Logan and I, we got South Dakota State right over Montana in the FCS national championship game. So we all went 1-1 there. But yeah, I finished second, 310 and 109, and Jimmy in last, 308 and 111. So FCS game of the week, and we have a lone wolf off the bat. Logan is rolling with the number 25 Youngstown State Penguins at the number 6 Villanova Wildcats. Jimmy and I, we both like Villanova, and I think it's just too early in the year, Logan, to pick a dog on the road in the FCS right now. So I think I'm going with Villanova. So is Jimmy. And we'll see how this game plays out. It's on Thursday, 6 p.m. on Flow Sports. All right, and that is the show for today. Sorry, I thought it was going to be shorter, but we had a lot of good conversation, a lot of games to go through as well, a lot of news also being cut down and all the trades. But next week, guys, we are NFL Week 1. I think we're going to do a Sunday show because of Labor Day, and I got stuff going on Labor Day. So I think it's going to be a Sunday show. And then we're also going to do a Wednesday show for our normal Friday show because Mr. Jimmy O'Malley is getting married next week. So we will not have a Friday show next week. We'll have a Friday show this week, which, by the way, we will be continuing our season preview. We'll switch over to the NFL side, though, and we are going to do NFL awards on Friday. And on the Sunday show, it will be our playoffs and Super Bowl picks show. So make sure you're tuning into that to see who we think is going to win Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. I know last year I had the Super Bowl picked out for the first 8 weeks, Eagles, Dolphins, and it just did not materialize. We'll see what I got this year going on, and the other guys as well, see what their picks are. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcast and Instagram and X, FAA_bets as well. FAApodcast.com is our website. You can check us out here on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. Thank y'all for watching, and have a happy college football week 1. We will see you on Friday.